You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are ladies things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you but doesn't judge you. And we don't loan money, so just quit asking us to loan you money. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Thanks, Monis, for tuning in. We have an amazing young man on the show with us today. We're going to be talking about his insights and his new movie that is out. Stewart Warren Dansby joins us on the show. He possesses a diverse range of talents and accomplishments. His journey encompasses both creative pursuits in media production and significant achievements as a fighter and in martial arts. He's an executive producer and protagonist of the documentary Taking the Fight. Stewart has garnered considerable acclaim. The film's impressive track record includes screenings at 25 film festivals and winning 31 awards across multiple categories such as Best Feature Documentary, Best Inspirational, Best Direction, Editing, and Best Original Musical Score. Its availability on major streaming platforms underscores its broad appeal and success in reaching audiences worldwide. Just came out in August of 2024. Welcome to the show, Stewart. How are you?
I'm perfect, man. I think the only part you didn't get accurate on that was introducing me as a young man. But
young man. We try and give people.
I'll take it. I'm perfect. How are you?
We're all young, right? I am good, Stewart. Thank you for coming on the show. Give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
Anything about the film, you can find it. It's simple, takingthefight.com. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, Stewart Warren Dansby on Instagram, and also Taking the Fight is on Facebook as a Facebook page as well. So any of those places you want to reach out, please do.
There you go. Give us an overview of the movie that you've just put out.
Okay. So Taking the Fight follows my journey, taking my first fight at the age of 56 against a 26-year-old. And it follows me for 6 years, continuing to fight and finally having the opportunity to fight, pursuing a championship and having that opportunity at the age of 62 against a 32-year-old. And I do that with a right knee that, according to the last surgeon that was in there, medically speaking, I shouldn't be able to walk on. I don't have an ACL. I have grade 4 arthritis on bone. My left knee, grade 4 arthritis, surgically repaired ACL. I have a degenerative disc in my neck, and I have asthma. And I started fighting at obviously a much later age. But Taking the Fight is not a fighting documentary any more than Rocky is a boxing movie, right? Mm. We use fighting as the metaphor for every person to understand we all have a fight, right? We all have things that hold us back from what our dreams really are. And we're all told, I'm not as smart as that guy. I don't have the resources of that girl. I could never get that girlfriend or that boyfriend. We all have things that hold us back from what our dreams are. Mm-hmm. What Taking the Fight is, and I'm simply the conduit to tell the story, is how do you get out of your own head? How do you understand what your dream really is? And some of us are really afraid to bring that dream to life, right? And then how do you put that energy into the world? And I call it the want it more than you want to breathe energy. How do you put that energy into the world to attract the people and the resources that you need? Because especially in this country, those people and resources are all around you, right? Mm-hmm. But until you give your dream that I want it more than I want to breathe, that's when they start coming forward. And if you give them a little bit more than what they thought they were going to get, mm-hmm. they'll give you more. And then everybody rises. So in a nutshell, we made sure that as we edited and told this story, that if the average person turned on and looked at this and said, I'm not a fighter, I'm not an athlete, they could still watch it and understand that message of how to lead their most passionate, achieving life.
There you go. So tell us about your growing up. How did you go through your life. What was some of the things that shaped you and motivated you that got you to this point where at 56 you're like, hey, I'm going to, take up something that young kids usually take up?
Yeah, it sounds a little silly when you shape it up that way. Mm-hmm. I was raised as a military child. My father was, part of that greatest generation, a 30-year military man. So I bounced around Japan, Greece, a lot of time in Canada. It's probably one reason why I live in Miami, and I'm very comfortable living in Miami as a minority, and why I'm able to appreciate and enjoy this culture, this diversity of this culture, right? Mm-hmm. But as a kid, I always got in fights, right? And my mom made the silly mistake of saying to me, you're small, so you're going to get picked on, and make sure you punch somebody back if they punch you. And that was kind of given the keys to a Ferrari to a race car driver, right? Mm. So I got in a lot of fights as a kid. It's just something I enjoyed doing. But as you get older in life, that stuff you kind of can't do, or you're going to get in trouble. And it was always there in the edge in my teen years, getting into fights, and early years of adulthood. But you got to abandon that. And I was always into fitness, but that urge, I think, was always still there. And I trained for years and had a friend of mine that was a kickboxer, and I wanted to learn to take up boxing. So I said, hey, I don't know anybody, but I'll try this. And that first day he trained me, it was the most frustrating, humbling experience I ever had. And I truly didn't, I always thought I was an athlete until I did that. And then I just felt impotent, completely like a rock'em sock'em robot. I couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And it was absolutely, I use the word humbling, and I couldn't get over that. And I just knew at that moment, I'm like, I love this though, and it can't beat me. I've got to be good at it. And it's just a passion, if you will, was lit inside me.
Wow. There you go. And I mean, you had definitely some health issues that we all kind of accumulated over a lifetime, where we, things happen to our bodies. I mean, I've definitely done a few things to mine, but did any thought go into that? Hey, I like this passion. I'm not sure that I'm the right man for the job.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I think one of the things I've never looked at, and you might say it's stupid, but it's actually, in the long run, it's helped me. I never looked at the age difference of the guys I was fighting, right? So I never thought, I'm going against a guy who's 21. I'm 52, 53 at the time, right? I'm just looking at a guy going, okay, he's got a great low kick. He's got a great jab. What am I going to do to compensate for that? And I approached my injuries the same way. I always, going into it, there were certain things I knew I couldn't do with my right knee. It doesn't have an ACL. That's what holds your knee stable from lateral movement. And so the guys that were coaching me, and as I got into more professional coaches, we simply looked and said, all right, you can't do this. What can you do? And we never thought about it other than let's play to our strengths. What are we capable of? And that's how we looked at it. I think there's a point of view, and this is really important. And it's a message of the documentary that we as human beings, I think the two most stressful words we have in the English language are problem and obstacles. So if I walk up to you right now and I say, hey, Chris, we got a problem. Internally, like, how do you react? You're like, oh, shit. Like you take a breath and your heart rate goes up a little bit. If I walk up to you and say, hey, Chris, we need to solve a challenge. It's a totally different internal reaction in your mind, right? Of how we're going to function. And this is solvable. And so I think for us as a team, and this is definitively about the team of world-class coaches and fighters and my wife that have surrounded me with love and support and knowledge, we always looked at things as simply a challenge. We never looked at the knees as a problem. We never looked at the degenerative disc in my back is a problem. It was simply, how do we overcome these challenges? And if you focus anything in life on that, you're going to find a way to get past that challenge.
Definitely. It's if you look at things from a victimhood standpoint, oh God, I can't do this. Oh God, I'm not equipped to do this. I don't have the right skills, yada, yada, yada. Then you're going to have troubles. And so, how you, what is it? It's the perception of how you greet things that make all the difference in, being successful or just failing and quitting, basically.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy to fall into that victim mentality. There were a couple of times within my fighting career when I did, and my team snapped me out of it, right? Where I started thinking I'm a victim. Before my last fight, the state of Florida Boxing Commission did everything they could in their power not to license a 62-year-old trying to fight a 32-year-old. And put me through hoop after hoop. And I mean, this went on for 8 weeks.
Wow.
First, it was a physical that was 3 pages long, unheard of. But I went and got it, sent it into the state. 2 weeks go by, the promotion calls me and says, hey, now they want proof of your previous fights. Send that into the state. 2 weeks go by, promotion calls me. Now they want sparring video. This is unprecedented. I've fought already numerous times at this point, and for somebody to ask me this is crazy. So I'm starting to get frustrated. And you got to couple that with the stress of a training camp where you're training twice a day. You're literally getting beaten up as you're sparring. You're cutting weight, and your mind obsesses about the fight. And your body daily, your will is challenged on how far you can push yourself. And then you have that added layer of pressure of what if I don't get my license? What if I go through all this and they don't give it to me? Yeah. And then I remember this. It was a Friday afternoon around 3:00, and the promotion calls me and says, now the state wants an EKG stress test, and they want a bleed out test, which is a test to find out how quickly your blood coagulates if you get split open. This is a Friday. I'm weighing in on the following Friday. And I said, how long do I have to do this? And they said, Wednesday or the fight's off.
Wow.
At that moment, Chris, I went into being a victim. I hung up the phone and I literally say to myself, this is ageism. They are discriminating against me because of my age.
Wow.
And I called my wife, Stella, to try and get some sympathy. Unfortunately, for me, Stella is a bad sympathizer and she's a really good teammate. And she says to me, she's not like, oh, baby, I feel bad. She says, dude, if I'm the state of Florida and I see a 62-year-old trying to fight a 32-year-old on paper, I'm getting as far away from you as humanly possible. I'm looking at you as a liability that might die in that cage.
Yeah,
and she said to me, they don't know you. They don't know how hard you train. They don't know the world-class, high-level UFC fighters you go against. They don't know your coaches. They don't know your heart. Beat them. Stop being a victim and beat them at their own game. If that's their challenge, find a way to get the test done, right? So even on that championship journey, my point is, we all have moments where we can fall into that mentality, right? And that's the power of a team around you that won't buy into your BS. And I'll say to you, no, level up, get yourself together and find a way.
There you go. What are your thoughts on the fight between Tyson and it looked like it was going to go down there, and then I guess it fell apart with something didn't happen with his health. But what did you think of the Tyson fight with that young man?
I think, Jake Paul gets wrecked by a lot of people because a lot of people still call him a YouTuber and just a guy who's looking for publicity. But I know fighters that I know that are high level, that are his sparring partners, and that he'll call in for this. And what I do know about Jake Paul is he takes this really serious. He might have started it for one reason, to make money and publicity, but he takes himself very seriously as a fighter. And I know his skill level has grown dramatically. So he's a legitimate boxer. I'm not going to say that he's world class yet, but he is a legitimate boxer. I think the whole thing comes down to here is, and everybody knows Tyson's power is amazing. How many rounds does it go? If Tyson can touch him in the first couple of rounds, I think it's Tyson's fight. I think the longer it goes, this kid's a smart fighter too. He's got a higher fight IQ than most people give him credit for. And if it goes into the latter rounds, I think it's a 6-round fight. Then I think it's going to favor Jake Paul. But people want to criticize him. Listen, boxing is called prize fighting, right? That's what it's called. So these guys are out here to fight to make money. So why would you criticize them? And why would you criticize Mike Tyson for still wanting to fight at this age? If I walked up to somebody in the corporate world and I said, hey man, you're 60. I think you should retire. They would be offended. But we certainly judge our athletes that way. And the reason we do is because we want to see them go out in glory. And I get that. We want to see our athletes go out on the top. But it's not our choice. It's that athlete's choice.
That's true. And no one wants to see anybody get hurt, too. I mean, that's one thing that...
Yeah, especially the guys you might have idolized, right?
Yeah. No one wants to see when, people go down for, whatever. So why do you think the film has won so many awards? It's won a ton of awards. Why do you think it's been so endearing to people that have watched it?
100%. It's because, and I'll use the word successful. We were successful in delivering the message and not having just a boxing or a kickboxing documentary, a martial arts documentary. I think one of the most compelling things for me as we went on this journey, and this was 9 years in production. It was 9 years this June. We went through 4 or 5 different editors, and every time we would see the first edit, it would be my nightmare, which is, this is just a clunky, narcissistic journey about me. And that was what it's the truth. I'm like, I don't want that. That isn't what this is for. When I had taken my very first fight, as I was going through that training camp, people were walking up to me and stating, you're inspiring me. You're inspiring me. And I would look at them and just say, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to knock a mofo out and not get knocked out. What do you mean? But it kept happening. People were telling me, you're inspiring me to lose weight. You're inspiring me to do this. And after my first fight, I fought in a tournament. I got to the finals. I lost in the finals to a 6'2", 20-year-old. And as soon as the fight was done, he looked at me and he said, how old are you? The second it was done. And I told him, and they held up his hand as the winner. And as they held up his hand, he grabbed my hand and he held it up. And Chris, he's crying. And he says, wow, this is your champion. This is your freaking champion right here.
Wow.
And as he did that, as I started to walk off, grown men were coming out of the stands and holding me, guys I didn't know, and telling me crazy stuff. Wow. And this is a true story. As I walked off, I said to myself, God blessed me with a journey I should not have at this age with these injuries. I'm going to pay it forward. There's a message here of how to overcome what you perceive as obstacles and problems and how to achieve your dreams. And I am going to deliver this message in the form of a documentary. And I sat down with my partner, Carlos Arieta, who owns Roar Post. And I'd known Carlos for years. We'd done some other television together. And I poured my heart out to him on what I wanted to do. And he said, okay, first thing is, this is not a story of fighting. And I kind of sat back and I said, what do you mean? And he said, this is a story of love. And instantly I got that epiphany. I'm like, you're right. It's the love of the dream. It's the love of the people that surround me. It's a story of love and belief of what you want to do. And so we set out at that moment to create this documentary. And after 4 or 5 edits, after obviously a lot of years, we finally had somebody that was close to us, both knew me and worked with Carlos as an editor, that stepped up and said, give it to me. I know this story. I can do it. Mm-hmm. So we re-edited it, and I was blessed to do a lot of that editing side by side with another Carlos Pita, where he'd get 10 minutes done. He'd say, sit down, tell me if this is good, tell me if this is the message. So we worked super hard to deliver a message that was universal for everyone. Mm-hmm. And the most compelling truth of that was, as we did the film festival circuit, we probably did 5 or 6 or 7. I would have loved to have done them all, but you just can't afford to fly all those different cities. And people would come up to me that were screening it from the audience that I didn't know, that were clearly not athletes. And they would say things like, I would never watch a boxing or a kickboxing or a fighting movie normally, but I watched the trailer and this interested me. And they said, I get it. I get what I have to do to lead the life I want. And there was a moment, we were blessed to also win the LA Documentary Film Festival. And they send you a viewer's critique, 6 different viewers they have that critique it. They send you a video. They sent me a video and they called me the next day. They said, "Did you watch the video?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Why not?" And I said, "Guy, because if they said bad things, I can't this is my life, my mission, I can't change it." And they said, "Watch the video, dumbass. It's okay, right? You won the film festival. Just watch the video." So I did, and I sat down with my wife and we watched it, and we actually teared up because, again, none of these 6 people were athletes or fighters, and every single one in their own way understood the message of what they needed to do and would want to do in their life to achieve their dreams and to achieve their most fulfilled life. So I think it was like everything, right? It's the storytelling. And this is factual. Don't get me wrong. It's a documentary. Nothing's scripted. You can't make it up. I go to film with a fighter that I'm fighting. Trust me, he's not looking for the same happy ending I am, right? He's there. He's sure, I'll sign a waiver for my image. Yeah. And I'm going to knock your ass out. So it's all real. But I think the storytelling and a little bit of maybe divine intervention in helping me tell the story, because my mission has been to help others in guiding my path, I think is what got us there.
There you go. There you go. And it's a great movie. People can watch it as a documentary. As we go out, give us your final thoughts to people on where they can go watch the movie, where they can see it online, and .coms.
Okay, perfect. Love to. So it's now streaming on Amazon Prime, on iTunes, which also is Apple TV. Not everybody knows that. And Google Play. So you can watch it on any of those channels, live streaming anytime you want. Again, you can touch base with me at Stewart Warren Dansby on Instagram, and you can get all the information we just talked about from the trailer to direct links to where to watch it are on takingthefight.com.
There you go. Takingthefight.com. Everyone should check it out. People love story of rebirth. They love rising from the phoenix from the ashes. They like stories where, I think we all are heartened when we see people excel. I follow several bodybuilders who are in my age or older. They're working out and they've got their bodies in great physique, and I'm like, I want that for me at my age too. So there you go. I think it helps really inspire and motivate people. So thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it, Stewart.
Absolutely, Chris. Truly my privilege and my pleasure to be here.
There you go. And thanks for honest for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Check out the movie wherever fine movies are sold that you can take and get involved with it there. Taking the Fight. And definitely inspiring. Share it with your friends and family. Won tons of awards. So 25 film festivals, 31 awards. You're definitely going to enjoy it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.